Welcome to Bobotie. It's a traditional South African dish which I know you will find delicious. Right now I'm going to show you the ingredients. So we've got 3 slices of bread, we've got 2 eggs, and we've got 1 cup of milk and half a cup of milk, and I've split them for a reason. And you're going to need a jug with that, so I've got my jug here. Moving on to the other ingredients, we've got 2 onions, which I'm going to chop. We've got some garlic, and I've taken 2 cloves out, which I'm going to chop as well, really finely. Obviously, ask your parents for help with the chopping because it can be a bit tricky. We've got 1 lemon here, and I'm going to show you a little bit later what I'm going to do with that. In terms of our spices, I've got some medium curry powder, I've got some basil, I've got some cumin, and I've got some turmeric, and I have 4 bay leaves in the middle. They're going to be on the top of the bobotie when we have finished cooking all the meat, and all the spices make the meat taste absolutely delicious, so they're really important for the recipe. Over here we've got some chutney, and we have got some apricot jam. Now my chutney is actually from a South African, and it's something you can get in most supermarkets, and I'm just going to show you here very quickly. It's Mrs. Ball's, and she is an amazing chutney provider that's provided chutney for South Africans for years and years and years, and we can get it now in England, so that's something to look out for if you want something a bit different. Otherwise you can use any of your fruit chutneys that you have at home. We've also got olive oil, and we have got salt and pepper, and of course we've got our mince, which we will need definitely. So what I'm going to do is tell you and explain to you how to cook this. I've poured the 1 cup of milk into this dish over here, and you can see that I've taken the 3 slices of bread and I've cut them in half. I've taken the crusts off, and I'm actually just going to dip this bread into the milk, both sides, so that it's going to soak up all that milk. You'll see a little bit later why that's important. Okay, so I've got my 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and I've put that in the bottom of the frying pan. And then I've got, I'm going to get my onions, and I'm going to pour them into the frying pan. I'm going to keep stirring it so that I can get all of the onions around that oil. Makes that lovely sound. Okay, so I've mixed in all the herbs, and you can see it's looking really lovely and spicy, which is really good for the bobotie. And now I'm going to add the mince. So a good tip is just to add a little bit of mince at a time, and you can break it up as you're doing it. Okay, just like this. You're breaking it up, mixing in a little bit of those herbs. If it does get too dry and you're worried about the onions burning, you can put a little bit of water in the pan just to help it as it's going to, as it's cooking. So here we have the mince just going in, and always try and use fresh mince, which has just come from the shop or the butcher, because it's better than defrosted mince. But obviously you can use defrosted mince. It's just more, it's just got a lovely fresh taste if you use mince from the day that you bought it. A little bit more, and then the last bit. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to mix this up. If there's any big chunks, you're going to make sure that those big chunks have been mixed up and broken up in the pan. and you'll smell just such a wonderful spicy flavour and aroma coming into your kitchen. You might want to put the air vent on, because I'm going to do that now with mine, just so that I can have a lot of the smoke taken out. So what I'm going to show you now is, in a minute we're going to need the zest of a lemon. The zest of a lemon is like the skin of the lemon. So what I've got is my little tool here, and I'm just bringing it down. I'm moving my wrist and I'm pulling it down so that you can get lots and lots of that skin of the lemon. It's going to give the bobotie an extra zest, zesty flavour of lemon. So that's really important. Once I've got this, I'm now going to cut my lemon so that I can squeeze the juice out. Okay, so you can see now that the mince is browned. All the spices have been worked into the mince. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my chutney and my apricot jam. And I'm just going to hold it over and I'm just going to pour that inside. This is going to give it a really lovely flavour. Okay, so I've got my chutney and my apricot jam in. Now I'm going to get the zest that I've just taken from my lemon. And I'm going to put the zest in, put all of it in, okay, make sure you get that all in. And then I'm going to have half of my lemon, all right, I've got half the lemon, I've cut it in half, I've got half, and I'm going to squeeze that lemon juice onto the bobotie, okay. Again, make sure your hands are clean at this point, okay, and you're squeezing that lemon right in. You can see that I've put my fingers right into that lemon, squeezing it out, making sure, this is the fun part. Cooking's always fun when you can do things like this and get your hands all messy. So we've done that. And the last thing I'm going to put in is some tomato paste. So we're going to put 4 teaspoons in. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we've got 4 of those in. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to add, we are going to do it, I'm going to add my salt and pepper. So I've got my salt and pepper going in, okay, and then I'm going to be mixing it up. Alright, so you're just going to move the mince around. Make sure that you're taking the mince from the outside of the pan and moving it in so that you can get all of that lovely flavour going throughout all of the mince. Okay, so we want it to be really infused with all the mince. Yummy. Okay, so everything is infused now. So what I'm going to do is you can ask your adult just to take a little teaspoon out. And it's really important when you're cooking to taste your food. And that tastes absolutely yummy. And what we're going to do is, if you need any more salt or pepper, that's when you're going to add it now, or if you need any lemon juice. Otherwise, I'm really happy with how it tastes. I can really taste all the lovely spices, and I can taste the chutney. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off the pan. Okay, so I'm going to take it off, turn my heat off. Now that I've got the mince off the heat, I'm going to go to the bread that has been soaking in all the milk. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of bread, and this is a really fun part as well. You're going to squish that bread and you're going to take out all the milk. You can see that there's milk coming in there, and you can see that this bread is becoming really solid again, that I'm trying to squeeze all of that milk out. Again, make sure your hands are washed. All right, so what we're going to do then is we're going to put the piece of bread, I'm going to have little bits, and I'm going to put them on top of that mixture in the pan. And we're going to do the same thing for every piece of bread. I'm going to try and squeeze out as much milk as I can, because we're going to use the milk a little bit, and then we're going to pop it here into the mince dish. All right. Okay, so I've put my bread mixture on top of the mince, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it all in. And the reason why we've got the bread going into the mince is because it's going to make the mince stick together, come together really nicely. So we're going to really make sure that that bread is mixed in as much as possible. As you can see, I'm really trying to coat that bread in the spices as well, so that it becomes part of the dish. Keep moving from the outside in. Okay, your adults will help you with this as well. Just keep moving your spoon in. Okay, so you've now got a delicious mixture of your mince, and I'm now going to put it into this oven-proof dish over here. Okay, so I'm just going to pour it in. You might need some help with this bit. You can probably hold the spoon, but I'm sure some of you will like to hold the pan. Just make sure you keep your hand on the handle, and that you're safe at all times when you're cooking. Okay, so now we're going to put the pan back on the stove, and I'm going to just put it into the pan, and I'm going to pat it down. I'm going to really pack it in there, all right? Make sure it's in the pot really nicely. Okay. Okay, so this is the milk that the bread was in, and I squeezed all this milk out of the bread before I put it into the mixture. So now I'm going to strain it. Here is my sieve. I've just put my sieve on top of my jug, and here's my sieve here, and I'm now going to pour this just like that, and it's going to take out all those lumps because we don't want the lumps inside. And then I'm going to take my other half a cup of milk, and I'm going to pour that in as well. Okay, so once I've strained the milk, I'm then going to pop in my 2 eggs. You just take a knife and you crack your egg in half. Use your 2 thumbs and gently pry them away and pour the egg in. And we try not to get any eggshell when we're breaking an egg. Don't do it too hard. You just want to get enough so that you can get your nails in and then break your eggs. Okay, so we're going to just add some salt and pepper to this mixture, and then I'm going to take my fork and I'm going to beat these eggs. Okay, so they're being beaten up. So when you're beating an egg, just take a fork and then you're lightly going to do little mini circles. So you're breaking up this egg. This recipe is actually so much fun to make. So many lovely things that you can do. Squishing, stirring. Okay, so now I've got my egg and milk. I've done salt and pepper inside. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my mince over to here so that you can see it. It's in here, and I'm going to pour this mixture over the mince. All right, so I'm just going to pour it over right on the top. Okay. Now, it looks very liquidy, but once we've cooked it, it's going to make an amazing topping, and it tastes absolutely delicious, trust me. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take our bay leaves, and we've got 4 bay leaves, and we're going to pop them on the top of our bobotie. And you should feel very proud of yourselves now, because you have made a wonderful dish of food. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop that into the oven, and I'm going to cook it for 45 minutes, okay? So as you can see, it's baked in the oven, and you can see that the custard topping has hardened. Okay, so here is the bobotie, and what you could do is slice it now, and you can take the bay leaves off the top, and you can just serve it. So I'm going to show you how I would serve it. The best thing to do is to have a themed evening. I've done this with my children, and it's so much fun. You can put some African music on, or South African music, or any music that you like, but it's quite nice if it's more from South Africa. And then you can get some salad and some potato salad and serve it up with that. So I'm going to show you how I would do it now. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the plate. I've cut it into some square. I've got some salad, and I've got some potato salad as well. Have a wonderful time making the recipe. It is so much fun to make, and I hope that your family have a wonderful African evening celebrating South African tradition.